Hey you guys, what's up? So let's get into these fried spare ribs with white henny pineapple barbecue sauce. These were so good. You guys don't forget to like and subscribe and let's get into it. So now I'm taking my rack of ribs. Um, this part is always a hassle for me. I just stick the knife underneath and I grab it with a napkin to try to pull the membrane off. And I just take a little knife to take off whatever little pieces of fat, like the excess fat that I see underneath. Next up, I'm going to just flip that back over and I'm just gonna cut along in the middle of each bone just to make a nice looking rib right there. This is how the finished product is gonna look, and I just keep going for the whole thing. I had about 2 racks because we had some friends over, so I was just slicing into those really nice and clean, making sure that I'm not getting too close to the bone on each side. Just really want it to be even and nice looking. So next up, I'm gonna just put those inside of a bowl. I rinse them off with some vinegar, water, and some lime, and now I'm just adding in some mustard, just regular mustard, couple swirls. I didn't have an exact amount. Next, I'm gonna go in with this Twisted Q Sweet Heat barbecue seasoning. This is basically the main seasoning rub that I used. And I also added in some garlic powder here. I don't have exact measurements, you guys. I want you guys to start getting comfortable with measuring yourself. I added some paprika and I also added in some liquid smoke. I'm gonna add all the seasonings like I usually do in the description box below. And I'm just taking my clean hands and I'm just mixing that around really nice, making sure that every single rib is coated to a T. You don't want to have any clumps of seasonings. Like I always say, bloopers. I dropped the rib on the counter, but my counter is clean, so I'll put it back inside. Now this is how the finished product is gonna look right here. Making sure that everything is nicely cleaned. I'm just taking a napkin to clean up the edges of the bowls right here. This helps to save all of that mess when anyone tries to touch it, and you get it on the fridge and everywhere and stuff like that. You always want to make sure that you're working in a clean environment. Next, I'm going to take some plastic wrap and I'm just covering that up really nicely, nice and tight, making sure that it's tight everywhere on every single side. And I'm just going to cover that up and I'm going to put it inside of the fridge. Ideally, I would recommend that you put this to sit overnight so all the seasonings could soak in, but about 30 minutes the show should be fine. Next, I'm just going to chop up my pineapples. You honestly don't have to chop them this small. I was just doing it like this for the purpose of the video and I like how it looks. So I was just chopping them into really small cubes. But if not, you could just chop them into I want to say nickel sized pieces, because we're still going to end up putting this in the blender anyway. So once everything is nicely chopped, I just add it to a pan, a nice small pan, nothing too big. And I just add in a tablespoon of butter with that, and I let the pineapple cook down a little bit for about 5 minutes on medium to low heat. And I'm just making sure that I'm mixing it around, getting all of that pineapple off of the side. Now I'm going to go in with my homemade barbecue sauce. You could use any regular barbecue sauce if you want. If you're not comfortable making homemade sauce, it's up to you. I had some of this left over in the fridge, so I just used it. Now I'm gonna go in with about 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and then I'm gonna use some teriyaki sauce and soy sauce. I'm gonna link all of that down below in the description box with the exact amounts for you guys. And I'm just mixing that up. Now I'm gonna add in about 1/4 cup of honey to that, just regular honey that I get from Walmart, nothing special. And I'm just gonna mix it up again. Now I add in about a teaspoon of white vinegar. Mix it up again, let it come up to a little bit of a simmer. And now I'm going to go in with my pure white Hennessy. This was my alcohol of choice. I just added about 1/2 cup. Actually, I lied, a little bit more. And then I was like, a little bit more. And I was like, to hell with it. Let me just finish the bottle. But I want to say overall it ended up being about 1 cup or so. Now I just let that come up to a boil, and I didn't get a clip of this, but I added in about 1 tablespoon of cornstarch slurry. So that's just cornstarch and some water. And I just added into that until I got this thickness right here. Don't worry, you guys, don't taste the cornstarch or anything of that sort. Just let it cook off for about 2 to 3 minutes or so till you get this texture right here. Now I'm gonna turn out that heat and I'm gonna take that hot sauce and pour it into my blender here really quick. You guys, if you guys wanted the chunks in it, you don't have to do this step right here, but I wanted it to be smooth so it could go through the drizzle bottle. So I'm just making sure that I'm scraping everything out of that pot and I'm just blending it up really fine till it's like completely liquefied basically. And that took me about, with my blender, I want to say it took me about, I want to say like 2 minutes. Next up, I'm taking a strainer and I'm just going to strain out that sauce to get rid of any clumps or anything. You guys, I did not realize my strainer was broken until I started doing the video. And I literally was not going to leave the house. So you guys excuse my strainer. After that, I just put it inside of my drizzle bottle and that was it for the sauce. Next, we're going to move on to the ribs. So I fill up a Ziploc bag, a gallon-sized Ziploc bag with about, I want to say like 2 to 3 cups of flour. Just fill it up halfway. Next up, I'm going to go in with about 2 regular like teaspoons of baking powder, and then I'm going to do the same thing with some cornstarch. Like I said, I'm going to put it down in the description section for you guys. Oh my gosh, I cannot talk today, you guys. I'm so sorry. There's so much going on today and I'm just trying to do this video for you guys really quick. Next up, I'm going to add in that seasoning, that same Twisted Q seasoning, and I also go in with some more garlic powder. And then I am going to add in some paprika as well for that nice color on the outside. And now I'm going to close up that bag and I'm going to shake it up really nicely, making sure that everything is combined, making sure that the seasoning got everywhere within that flour. You know, make sure you close your bag really tight and make sure that it's perfectly zipped, because I've had it happen to me before that I didn't close it properly and I got flour everywhere and it was a nightmare, you guys. So I'm just shaking that up really nicely, making sure that I'm holding on to the edge where it locks, just to make sure that it doesn't pop open. Try not to squeeze the bag either, because that can make it pop open as well. So once that's nice all and shaken, I took my ribs. I did the ribs as soon as like I was about to fry them. So basically I would only do 2 or 3 at a time in the fryer. So I would only dip 2 or 3 in the flour at a time, you know, because you don't want them to sit with the flour on them too long, because then it's just gonna get soggy. And the initial like crispy crust that I had, you're not gonna have that. It's just gonna be like, I can't explain it, but it's just gonna be like, it's literally just gonna look like a hard brick when it's done frying. So if you want it to really have like that crispy visual look, I would recommend like you throw it in the flour, and as soon as you take it out of the flour, throw it in the fryer. So after I mix those up really nicely, I'm just taking out the rib one at a time, and I'm just going to shake it off to take off all of that excess flour. You don't want to hold them too hard, because then you're going to scrape off the flour, which I did there. So now I just dipped it back and I'm just shaking it in the palm of my hand, and that was the finished product right there. And I took those ribs, as I were doing them, I just placed them like bone side down on the rack. And now I heated my oil up to about 320 degrees. And I'm just throwing those ribs in there for about, I want to say 10 to 14 minutes. It honestly depends on how hot you have your oil. But if you're working with the same temp as me, I would say 10 to 14. That's when they should reach that golden brown color, honestly. And you're going to see here in my next clip here. So once they reach this color right here, it was about 12 minutes or so here. And I'm just, you know, making sure that everything is cooked on every side. And I'm just living them up. And that was the finished product right there, you guys. These were so crispy and yummy. And I just let them sit for about, I want to say like 5 minutes or so, 5 to 8 minutes. And my boyfriend was like at the stove. He already put down like 3 of them before I could even finish plating these up. I just plated them up really nicely, and I took our same barbecue sauce and I drizzled it all over. You guys, this sauce was insane. Like, the ribs were good, but this sauce was like immaculate. Like, oh my gosh, it was so good. I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you guys are new here, welcome to the family. Let me know what you guys want to see, and I can't wait to hear from you guys soon. Thank you. Bye.